Hello and welcome to Sangoma Society. My name is Hani Makwakwa, UMakhosi Nomabutho Emsamo, and Hani Tell a Story on all social media platforms. This is where we aim to demystify all things pertaining African spirituality. And today, I'm talking about why you should be having sex for money. There's so many ways I could have put that, right? But there's a lot going on right now pertaining the spirituality of sex, and as well as the transactional nature of sex. And I really wanted to weigh in on the topic coming from this side of the table. So what do I mean when I said you should be having sex for money? Is this an endorsement of sex work? Well, Khalil Gibran did say that we work that we may keep at pace with the earth. And what's more earthly than sex? No, but seriously, sex is an exchange of energy. And whether you like it or not, when you have sex, you're going to get something out of it. It is really important that you define your sex. Are you having sex for money? Are you having sex for love? Are you having sex for validation? Are you having sex for orgasms? Why are you having the sex that you're having? We've been socialized to carry so much shame around our sex that we have so much trouble coming to terms with the power that we hold in our sex. So I think it's really important that we have this conversation, because I find that there's a lot of patriarchal precepts that come through when certain healers talk about the spirituality of sex and speak about ties that are created through sex and all nature of things. What does it mean when I say define your sex? So, like, take for instance, about 7 years ago, I went out with this guy, had a great time, even bumped into some mutual friends, didn't know that we had these mutual friends, so it was just like wild. Then we went back to my place, funny enough, and we just ended up talking and talking and talking, and before you knew it, the sun was up, and I realized I was actually quite tired. So I made my excuses, you know, I'm feeling a little tired, I think I'm gonna call it a night, and the brother just didn't go anywhere. So I said, okay, look, do you wanna maybe go into bed with me to sleep, you know? And he was like, yeah, maybe. And then I said, do you want to sleep or do you want to do something else? And he said, you know. And then I said, well, if we were to do something else, why would we be doing something else? He didn't really have an answer for that. So then I said, would we be doing whatever we do when we get into bed just to be doing it? Would we be doing it for a good time, or would we be doing it to see where it takes us? Are we doing it as a part of exploring what this is? And he said, I think I want to, you know, do anything that I'm doing with you to see where it might take us. And yeah, that was the first day that we had ever gone out together socially or in any other way. And that would be the first night I spent with my husband. Yeah, you know, 7 years later, we're still seeing where the sex that we share takes us every day, you know. So that's one way of defining your sex. Another way of defining your sex is obviously through the very valid terms of sex work. You know, people really wonder, like, I've heard certain people in my practice really resentful that perhaps they've contracted a venereal disease, and they say, but you know, so and so is a sex worker and she doesn't even, you know, use protection all the time. She has separate prices for when it's raw, and you know, how come she doesn't have this and I do? And it's like, well, you know, if somebody has defined with the universe the terms of their sex, that they're having sex for money, and then you're just going out and having sex for whatever, you know, you're not even saying you're having sex for love. You're not even saying you're having sex for chocolate, sex for flowers, sex for validation, sex for orgasms. You're not even doing that bare minimum, and you find that you're getting something that you didn't expect because you didn't respect your sex enough to define it. Do you get what I'm saying here? I'm not saying that you need to be, you know, making your sex transactional. I'm saying that you need to be defining your sex, because whether you want to or not, energetically an exchange is going to happen, and unless you define the terms of that exchange, you're gonna get whatever, you know, and whatever may not be what you're hoping for. Do you get what I'm saying? I hope you do, because what I'm not trying to do is confuse you. What I'm not trying to do is mislead you into thinking that every kind of sex can be a spiritual experience, because although sex can be spiritual, it is not inherently spiritual. If sex was meant to be purely spiritual, then you know, I don't know, maybe the terms of sex would be different. But as things stand right now, for a female or a woman a person whose genitalia includes a clitoris, sex is, you know, potentially incredibly pleasurable if conducted in the correct way. You know, if you've defined your sex that you want your sex to be for pleasure, it can be. And the, you know, biography of the landscape kind of implies that that's what it is meant to be. So, you know, it's not inherently spiritual, and it's not inherently one thing or another. Sex is what you choose for it to be. So it's important that you define that for yourself in every sexual interaction. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm saying to you that sex is supposed to be fun. Sex is supposed to make you feel good, you know, and you can use sex for more than just your partner's pleasure, you know. You can be in the room when you have sex. You can be in the room getting your things from your sex. Do you know that? You can take control of your sex and define it for what you want it to be for you. Yes, sex can be used as a spiritual offering. Absolutely. Yes, sex can be used as work. Absolutely. Yes, sex can be used for purely pleasurable purposes. It's only you who can define your sex. And what my fear is that we have been so divorced from our own sexuality that we can easily, you know, be led astray by anybody with any kind of platform into thinking what sex is supposed to be. And Only you can decide what your sex is supposed to be. You have to do that. That's your responsibility. And it is a responsibility what you do with your sex. It's a responsibility to yourself. It's a responsibility to your time. It's a responsibility to your own self-worth. You know? Sex is so empowering. Sex is so gratifying. Sex is so fulfilling. And yet sex can be very difficult for many people, you know, and it's valid that sometimes people seek to empower themselves through sex in ways that may not be empowering for other people, or may take away from other people, or may take away from another person's sense of self-worth. And sometimes people get hurt when that happens. Sometimes the person who gets hurt when one is trying to use sex to reclaim power is the person who's trying to do the reclaiming. You know, there's a lot of healing that we need to do around sex as people. For too long, sex has been weaponized. For too long, sex has been shamed. For too long, sex has been put into a category of living that isn't where sex belongs. Sex is an individual thing, you know. Every kink, every preference, every solo show, every group show, every station has really helped you understand why it is important for you to define your sex and where spirituality and sex meet, right? So please, you know, let's carry on with the conversation. If there's anything that I've missed out on, hot part of this topic that I've completely missed, please pop your comment down in the comment section. I always answer. Also, please subscribe, share the video if you found it insightful, and if this is your first time here, we pop up every Sunday with a new topic pertaining African spirituality and how it relates to your day-to-day life. This is Sangoma Society, and I am Honey Makwakwa. See you next time.